The smell of smoke hit Christina Taylor's nose as she approached her house. After a 12-hour night shift at Memorial Hospital, the tired nurse was getting out of her car when she noticed smoke rising from the house next door. Thick black smoke was billowing from the Thompson couple's house. The flames had grown large. The home of 78-year-old Harold Thompson and his 75-year-old wife, Mary Thompson, was engulfed in flames. Neighbors had gathered outside, but the fire department hadn't arrived yet. "The elderly couple is inside," shouted one of the neighbors. "Harold and Mary can't get out." Christina dropped her bag, but unlike the other neighbors, she didn't move away from the fire. Instead, she began assessing the structure of the house. "Christina, what are you doing?" her neighbor shouted. "We should wait for the fire department." Christina did something different. She calmly ran toward the back of the house. "Harold! Mary!" she called out. "I'm coming." Christina's movement had changed. Her analysis had changed. Her approach was different, as if she had become a completely different person. In the next 15 minutes, everyone in the neighborhood would learn who Christina Taylor really was, because that smoke and flames weren't foreign to her. Welcome to Hidden Legends. Before continuing with this powerful story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, hit that subscribe button. Christina Taylor was Memorial Hospital's most reliable night shift nurse. At 33, with her blonde hair always in a practical bun and blue eyes that inspired confidence in patients, she was a woman who had worked at the same hospital for 5 years without any problems, maintaining her composure even in the most difficult situations. Christina's approach to patients was different from other nurses. In emergency situations, while others performed basic checks, she conducted much more systematic evaluations. "Why are you so methodical?" they would ask. "Habit," she would say briefly. When checking equipment, she moved with military discipline. She would examine every tool, every piece of equipment as if preparing for a vital operation. "We're just nurses, Christina, not a rescue team," her colleagues would joke. Christina's work schedule was perfectly organized, starting at 11 p.m., ending at 7 a.m. Patient records were flawless, emergency response protocols complete, but no one knew her real background. Christina Taylor had joined the Army at 18. Military service was a childhood dream, and her desire to serve her country had led her down this path. That day, she had made herself a promise. "I'll get the best medical training so I can touch people's lives." When she joined the Army, she chose the Combat Medic program. After basic military training, she was selected for advanced training, Advanced Combat Medical Training, an 18-month intensive training program. Medical intervention in war zones, search and rescue operations, patient care under fire. "A combat medic isn't just a healthcare provider," said Training Commander Captain Martinez. "You'll make life and death medical decisions. You'll also participate in search and rescue operations. Even under enemy fire, you'll continue patient care." Christina had fully embraced this philosophy. Medical intervention with limited resources, learning search and rescue techniques, patient care in dangerous environments. Christina's medical and rescue knowledge was at military level. The most difficult part of training was rescue operations in dangerous environments. Patient extraction in fire zones, medical intervention in smoky environments, search and rescue in buildings at risk of collapse. Christina had developed extraordinary abilities in this area. In her first assignment, she was with the Forward Medical Team in Afghanistan. Medical operations in war zones, search and rescue missions, treating injured soldiers after bomb attacks. Christina's most critical intervention was rescuing 8 soldiers from a burning building after an IED explosion and providing medical intervention to the wounded. Her second assignment was with the Urban Combat Medical Support Team in Iraq. Medical support in urban warfare, fire suppression operations, civilian rescue missions. The search and rescue techniques she acquired in these assignments were methods never seen in civilian life. Her third assignment was classified international operations. Counterterrorism medical support, emergency rescue operations, fire safety during VIP protection. Christina's most dangerous and sensitive missions occurred during this period. Over 10 years, Christina had successfully completed 142 critical medical operations and 89 search and rescue missions. She had never lost anyone. So why had she left the army to become a nurse? PTSD symptoms, longing for civilian life, desire to serve the community. Christina's transition hadn't been easy. High-stress medical work felt familiar, but civilian procedures were different. After receiving an honorable discharge in 2019, Christina had transitioned to the civilian healthcare sector. She had received PTSD rehabilitation, adaptation counseling, and career change support. Hospital nursing had been a perfect choice. When Memorial Hospital hired her, Christina was overqualified. Nursing degree, 10 years of military medical experience, combat medic certification. But the hiring committee hadn't asked detailed questions. "I've always loved healing people," Christina had said. This time she was genuinely sincere. Daily work was easier compared to military operations, patient care, basic medical follow-up, standard calls. But Christina was noticing much more. She evaluated every situation from a combat medic perspective. "Christina, how do you know emergency management so well?" her colleague Linda would say. "Observation," Christina would say. "Every emergency is educational." That Wednesday morning at the end of a normal night shift, Christina was walking toward her house. After a 12-hour shift, she wanted to rest. It was a quiet morning. When she got out of her car, the smell of smoke initially made her think of a distant barbecue. But the smell was getting stronger, and it was coming from the house next door. When she looked at the Thompson couple's house, she understood the situation. Thick black smoke was coming from the upper floor. Red glimmers were visible from the lower floor windows. "There's a fire!" shouted one of the neighbors. "The Thompson couple's house is burning." Christina dropped her bag. "Are Harold and Mary inside?" "Yes, they can't get out. The doors are locked. They're not responding." Christina's mind quickly calculated. The elderly couple was at risk of smoke poisoning. "When will the fire department arrive?" she asked. 10 to 15 minutes, but it might be too late by then." Christina was already beginning to examine around the house. Christina evaluated the house structure with military eyes. 2-story wooden house. Fire started from the upper floor. Smoke was thickening. The lower floor hadn't caught fire yet, but was filled with smoke. "Christina, what are you doing?" her neighbor shouted. "We should wait for the fire department." "The elderly couple can't wait 10 minutes, Christina said. "They'll be poisoned by smoke." The neighbors were shocked. The authority in Christina's voice, the way she assessed the fire, this was a Christina they had never seen before. "Christina, you're a nurse," neighbor Mrs. Wilson said anxiously. "This is firefighting work." With her keys in hand, "I know what I'm doing," Christina said calmly. When Christina removed her shirt and wrapped it around her mouth, 10 years of combat medic training kicked in. Low position, breathing under smoke, systematic search techniques. "Everyone step back. Call 911. Call for an ambulance too," she commanded. Christina's movement had completely changed. Fire assessment, approach route, rescue planning. "How is this possible?" Mrs. Wilson whispered. Christina didn't answer. She remembered that night's refinery fire in Iraq. Minimal equipment, dense smoke, successful rescue operation. She entered the house through the back door. The lower floor was smoky, but there were no flames yet. She began systematic searching with breathing techniques. "Harold, Mary, where are you?" she called out. She heard a weak voice. It was coming from the bedroom. The first rescue was Harold Thompson. The 78-year-old man was lying in bed, affected by smoke, but conscious. "Harold, I'm Christina, your neighbor. I'm going to get you out." "Mary. Where's Mary?" Harold said in a weak voice. "I'll find her too. You need to get out now." Christina carried Harold on her shoulder and brought him downstairs. Thanks to her 10 years of rescue training, she could easily carry the 80-kilogram man. The neighbors watched in amazement. "Christina, how are you managing this?" "Training," Christina said as she placed Harold at a safe distance. Harold couldn't breathe. Christina immediately intervened. Mouth care, airway opening, improvised oxygen support. "This is professional rescue technique," Mrs. Wilson said in amazement. The second rescue was more critical. Mary Thompson was unconscious in the upstairs bathroom, seriously affected by smoke. Christina entered the house again. This time, the smoke was much denser. Visibility was almost zero. The fire had spread to the stairs. Christina planned an alternative exit route. When she found Mary, the woman wasn't breathing. Her pulse was very weak. Smoke poisoning was at critical level. If Mary is too late, Christina thought. With her 10 years of experience, she immediately intervened. Artificial respiration, heart massage, clearing from smoke. She took Mary in her arms and started bringing her down the stairs. But halfway down the stairs, the situation worsened. Mary Thompson's heart stopped. Christina laid her on the ground and started CPR. But this wasn't normal CPR. This was military-grade resuscitation protocols, the technique of bringing life back in impossible cases that she had learned on the battlefield. "Christina, what's happening?" the neighbors shouted. "Her heart stopped. She can't wait until the ambulance arrives." 8 minutes. Christina performed continuous heart massage. She was sweating but didn't stop. Advanced life support, mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, chest compressions. "Christina, 8 minutes is too long," Mrs. Wilson was crying. "Maybe." "No," Christina's voice echoed. "I will not lose Mary. Never. Combat medic oath. Never give up. Maximum effort. Every life is valuable." Christina's hands were machinery, rhythmic, strong, relentless. 10 years of rescue experience had been accumulated for this moment. 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Neighbors were beginning to lose hope. And the 8th minute, Mary Thompson began to breathe. "My God," Mrs. Wilson fell to her knees. How did you do it?" Christina was breathless, but her eyes were determined. "Because I never give up." Just then, both fire department and ambulance sirens were heard. Fire Chief Phillips and his team, along with ambulance paramedics, arrived. The fire was being brought under control. Chief Phillips and paramedic supervisor Johnson approached Christina. "Ma'am, could we get your rescue operation report?" 2 people rescued. 1 smoke inhalation, the other cardiac arrest, both stabilized. Both team leaders examined the reports. "This is incredibly advanced rescue work. Who performed this level of rescue operation?" The neighbors looked at Christina. Christina did it, all by herself. "Ma'am, how do you know these advanced rescue techniques?" Christina decided to break her 5-year secrecy. Sergeant Christina Taylor, U.S. Army combat medic, retired. Silence. Chief Phillips and paramedic Johnson's mouths fell open. Army combat medic? 10 years active duty, combat medical training and rescue operations, 3 deployment periods. Mrs. Wilson's eyes widened. "Christina, you were a military medical specialist?" "At Memorial Hospital." Hospital director Dr. Williams had learned about the cases. "Who performed Christina's neighbor rescue operation?" "She did herself," said the night shift supervisor. Dr. Williams read the reports and was shocked. "This is extraordinary. Advanced life support, smoke inhalation treatment, cardiac resuscitation. This is expert-level rescue care." Christina had quietly returned to her normal work, but Dr. Williams's next question would reveal everything. "Christina, where does this rescue competency come from?" Christina finally decided to tell the truth. "I was an Army combat medic, sir." "This is military rescue level expertise. Which training program?" Christina took a deep breath. U.S. Army Combat Medical Program, Advanced Rescue Specialist, 3 deployment periods. Complete silence. And at that moment, everything made sense. Dr. Williams was amazed. "Our nurse is a retired military combat medic." "Not just combat medic, advanced life support, smoke rescue, multi-casualty incident management." Harold and Mary Thompson, now recovered, were learning the situation, but the real shock hadn't come yet. "What was your military rank?" "Sergeant, combat medical specialist." Dr. Williams was impressed. "Sergeant Taylor, in terms of rescue experience, you surpass most of our emergency responders." Christina was modest. "Different context, sir. I'm a nurse now." But Dr. Williams's next offer would change Christina's life. "Sergeant Taylor, would you consider joining our emergency response team?" Christina was surprised. "I'm not civilian emergency response certified." "We can arrange that. Your experience, your skills, we need them." Christina's story isn't just a heroism story, it's also the story of rescue expertise, finding meaning in civilian life, service instinct, and never giving up. Because sometimes the greatest rescuers work as nurses in hospitals to save lives even amid flames. Harold and Mary Thompson say this every time they see Christina. Real heroes overcome fire. The courage Christina showed in the neighborhood that morning didn't just come from military training. It came from her determination to protect people from extreme situations in civilian life. "I'm no longer a soldier," Christina would say. "I'm a healer, and no fire situation will cause me to lose people." If this story moved you, share it, subscribe, and help these important stories continue. See you in the next legend. And remember, your healthcare worker might have the ability to overcome extreme rescue situations you'll never know about. Service never ends. It just overcomes flames.